Growing up in Texas, protein meant a pound of bacon and sausage for breakfast, a quarter-pound burger for lunch, and if you ate all that, you got your 2-pound steak for dinner. When I decided to try to lose some weight, I realized I better get my protein from someplace else. So I tried to incorporate some wonderful soy products into my diet, and that's what we're gonna do here today. Let's begin with a baby red romaine salad with a roasted pepper and pine nut flan, crispy tofu croutons, and a creamy Italian dressing. Then we're gonna have a sun-dried tomato, tofu, artichoke, and spinach lasagna with a light tomato sauce. And then we're gonna finish off with a low-fat tofu tiramisu. Let's discover new ways to work with protein for great tasting, healthy flavors.
Healthy Flavors is made possible by Vitasoy, makers of Vitasoy, Nasoya, and Azumaya, organic and all-natural foods for good taste and good health. Vitasoy, it's food for life. Decor, makers of the Epicure, pure convection self-cleaning electric built-in wall oven. Epicure, the next generation of commercial-style appliances. Decor, the life of the kitchen. And Filippo Berrio olive oil, a recipe for good health since 1867. Filippo Berrio. Taste the tradition. Stay tuned for Deborah Heart and Lung Center's Healthy Flavors.
I know these are great tasting recipes, and here to give us some nutritional information is a spokesperson from the American Dietetic Association. Althea, thanks for being here.
Hi, Jim.
Now, we know each other. Althea is a regular on the radio show, so she knows everything there is to know about nutrition, or at least as far as I know, you know everything.
I know a lot.
All right, well, I tell you what, we're gonna get started here. And we were talking off camera about superfoods, and you were saying tofu is a superfood, but what is a superfood?
People eat food for nutrients, but when there's something more in that food besides just basic nutrients, that's a superfood. People are turning to food now to help to prevent disease, not just to get rid of deficiency diseases, like if you don't get enough vitamin C, you get scurvy. What we're looking at is foods like tofu, which give us other types of health benefits. For example, tofu, which comes from soy. Soy is known to lower cholesterol. Now all soy products can have a small health tip that says if you consume a certain amount of soy protein per day, it can lower cholesterol and reduce your risk of heart disease.
Well, I tell you what, when they try these recipes, they're gonna have more soy in their products.
Well, that's great.
In their daily intake. This is a flan, which is a kind of a savory flan, which is a flan salato in Italian. So this is a savory one. We're gonna do a little, basically like a twist off a Caesar salad. So this is gonna be our custard using the silken tofu here. And we talk about cooking. I know you're a good cook all the time, and you cook for your kids. Do you incorporate a lot of soy for you guys?
We try. I like to do stir fries because I want to get more vegetables into my daughters and my husband. And when we do, as a great way to substitute and get more plant foods in our diet, and many health experts recommend eating more plant foods. So when you do a stir fry, instead of adding chicken or fish as a way to add flavor, as long as the vegetables have a lot of flavor and you season, tofu can be a really good substitute because tofu, which comes from soy, is the only complete animal protein. So we still get all the protein we'd get from an animal food when we eat a soy food like tofu.
It's the only plant that has all that.
Yes, it does.
Well, let me go over real quick what we have in here again. I have pine nuts, where we're gonna grind up. We have the silken tofu and a little bit of dried thyme. And we're gonna puree this up. And I have some red pepper, diced roasted red pepper that we can fold in. Again, you know, you can make this out of anything that you wanted to. I mean, at home, you could fold this in. I could put some smoked salmon in if I wanted to and make a smoked salmon flan. So I'll switch with you there, Althea.
As a dietitian, a lot of people tell me that they don't have time to eat healthy foods. One of the nice things about tofu is it's refrigerator stable for long periods of time. Where some of the other protein foods like chicken or fish could go bad in a couple days, tofu can stay in your refrigerator for just when you want to pull it out. It can be in there for weeks, sometimes even a month or longer.
That's great. Now I'm going to have you go ahead and put the tofu mixture into our little ramekins here, and we're going to bake it just like you would a custard in a water bath in the oven. And while you're doing that, I'm going to grab a little bit of soy milk, and I'm going to make our dipping sauce for our extra firm tofu that's going to be the croutons. So it's really kind of fun. I mean, it's really experimental. What people don't realize is how versatile it is and how wonderful the flavors are and what you can do with it. So that's fantastic. While you're finishing those up, I'm going to go ahead. I have some soy milk. I'm going to add a little bit of our soy-based Italian dressing, and I'm going to stir that up. And this is the extra firm tofu, which is great for using for stir fry, you know, baking, all kind of things. So we're going to toss these in as our little dipping sauce here, just like you would an egg wash if you were going to make a chicken parm or anything else. Put them in our cornmeal. I'm going to toss it with a little bit of parsley, and we're going to just toss this up. So is there any scientific reason on why one plant product has all the 9 amino acids that you would find in beef, and that's the only one?
I don't know. But the other good news about soy is when you use a product like tofu, you're also getting something called isoflavones. Those are those cancer-fighting properties. So people are eating it not just to help their heart, but also to reduce the risk of cancer.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to let you make a couple more of these. You can put them on the sheet pan, and I'm going to sneak around you here and put our flans in the oven. And this is some baby red romaine. And like I said, twist on a Caesar salad. Romaine, you could use regular romaine if you wanted to. And I'm just going to chop this up. You don't have to clean these, just take the core out and chop these up. And we're going to toss these in our bowl. Now you have your croutons already on your sheet pan there. We have some done here. And it really doesn't take long. You could spray it a little bit with nonstick spray. It will speed up the process of getting it crispy. But these are wonderful. Here, try one. You can make a meal out of those, basically. So,
oh, good, yeah.
Isn't that good? Isn't that good? So let me go ahead and grab a little bit, again, of our creamy Italian dressing and put a little bit in. You can always add a little bit more later. And since I'm eating this one with you, you'll trust me with that. Hands are clean. I wash them about 40 times a day. And I'm going to add a little bit because I am a nut with black pepper. A little bit more black pepper right on here. And you just take a knife, make sure it's completely pulled away, but see how it shrinks?
That's so pretty, too.
Yeah, and we'll take our plate, and I'll just flip it over. Comes right out. And portion control, I could eat probably 5 of these, but portion control is a vital part of a heart-healthy diet, correct?
Well, and you know what, Jim? Lots of times if you just use your hand for portion control, most things, if they're either the size of the palm of your hand or your fist, it's probably about right. So you have a bigger hand, a bigger fist than I do.
So an armful's not a good idea.
No, an armful's not a good idea. Use your hand.
So we're going to put a little bit of salad right on top, and it's going to fall. And this is still a little bit warm. You can have that flan being room temperature if you wanted to. It could even be chilled. If it was a hot summer day, maybe I'd do it chilled. If it was winter, I'd serve it warm. And then we have our croutons. I'm just going to sprinkle them around all over the place. And you don't want to get full because I have a unbelievable killer lasagna. That's going to be our next course.
Then I'm going to save it.
Let me grab a little spoon here. And because I always want a little bit more dressing, just kind of drizzle it along the plate. And you have some more salad. If somebody wants some seconds, you got a little bit more salad ready to go. And of course, because I like black pepper.
You like pepper.
You know what? I like bold flavors. And one of the misconceptions is with tofu is that it's bland, and that's not true.
It's not bland, and it does a really good job of picking up the flavors of the other food, so it really accentuates it.
A bad cook can ruin anything. A good cook can make anything taste good. Hopefully that's where we are, and when you come back and see our lasagna.
Stay tuned for Deborah Heart and Lung Center's Healthy Flavors.
So you're gonna love this lasagna, Althea, I tell you what. I'd love to take the credit for making this lasagna, however, I didn't. Best cook I ever worked with in my life is a chef named Lech Poeta, who happens to be lactose intolerant. So that's a big concern for a large majority of the population, is it not?
Well, certain populations are more lactose intolerant than others. That means that if they are lactose intolerant, they can still have dairy foods, but only in certain forms. I see this recipe has cheese, which is a food that you can have if you're lactose intolerant because the cheese, the sugar, lactose is already broken down. Another great food for people that are lactose intolerant are soy foods because there isn't any type of sugar in there that's going to give them a problem. So many people use this as a substitute for dairy foods that get them into trouble.
All right. Now let's say you wonder if you're lactose intolerant. Is there a way, other than a doctor prescribing that?
Well, that's the best way. But what you should first start with is if you're eating dairy foods and you're having some problems, you either have gas, you have bloating, you have diarrhea, then you might want to think about, am I getting this right after I have these dairy foods?
That's a great words to use right before we eat, Althea. I
Well,
will tell
sorry
you
about
why.
that,
There
Jim.
you go.
Well, if you do have those symptoms and other people in your family have them, because there's a big genetic component, what you might want to do is cut back and see if they go away when you don't have a lot of dairy foods. If that's what happened, you might want to call your doc and double check and get a test. What you can also do is change some of the ways that you eat. A lot of people can have dairy foods if they have them with other foods. A lot of people can use cheese because many of the sugars in cheese are broken down in the cheese making process. So that's another great way to do it.
We have our silken tofu in the bottom and a little bit of the low fat. Now, speaking of this being a cheese, it is a low-fat mozzarella. Does that change anything as far as
No,
that
fat
goes?
doesn't make
Okay.
any difference. Lactose is the sugar that's in milk. You don't have the enzyme in your intestine to break it down. You can also buy products where the sugar is broken down. People either buy a type of milk that is broken down with that sugar, or they'll switch to another product like a soy milk where the sugar really isn't a problem. So there's lots of ways that you can do it and you can get around it, but it's always best to have your doctor check. If you're Asian or you're African American, you're probably more prone though than people who are Caucasian.
All right. So we put the egg roll wrappers on the bottom with a little bit of water. That's going to steam and keep them moist and cook them at the same time. Then I'm going to take a little bit of our silken tofu mixture and spread it on the bottom. And because I happen to like artichoke hearts, sun-dried tomatoes, and spinach, that's what I'm putting in. But if you like...
No, I like these because you know why, Jim? These are superfoods. Remember we were talking about soy being a superfood? Tomatoes are a superfood, so are spinach. They're high in those antioxidants that are really good to help fight cancer and help to lower risk of heart disease. So you've got like 3 superfoods at one
How about
time.
one of my favorite items, garlic? Is that a superfood?
Garlic is another one.
So after we put our silken tofu down, we're going to put some artichoke hearts. Personally, I like the frozen. I blanch them a little bit and then slice them up real fine, but whatever you like. You like artichoke hearts?
I do, but I like tomatoes and I like spinach a lot better.
Well,
Also because I'm a
then you can
dietitian.
put more spinach and sun-dried tomatoes. I like artichoke hearts.
Because they're my superfood.
It could be olives. It could be literally anything in here. So once I put the layer of the silken, then we're going to put the first layer, which is artichoke hearts, a little bit of cheese.
Which works for people that are lactose intolerant.
Right? And then I'm going to start again with another layer of our egg roll wrappers.
I
How
like you don't have
simple
to
is
cook
this?
these noodles. I'm
Isn't it
always
great?
boiling noodles.
This is so easy, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So another layer of the silken. Now we're gonna go with our spinach.
Great
And-
source of iron, great antioxidants. So you're back to your super lasagna here.
Right.
Maybe this needs a different
And this would
name.
be this is so easy to make at home. Even if you didn't have a lot of time, this only bakes for about 35 minutes. You could get frozen spinach, strain it, and make sure you get all the water out. Just actually put it in a little boiling water. If it's not thawed, all you gotta do is strain it and it's ready to go.
Well, and people think that good eating takes a lot of time, and the nutrients that are in frozen are exactly the same as what's in fresh.
I always
So
say
if there
there's
isn't
3 big myths. It takes a lot of time, it's very expensive, and it doesn't taste good. That's the big 3 myths right there.
Well, a lot of people are afraid to use frozen foods, but you've got to realize that if there isn't a compromise in terms of the flavor or the texture, go ahead, because if it's going to save you time, that seems to be the main reason why people don't eat well. They don't think there's enough time.
You know that we were talking about on the radio show one time that actually through those tests that frozen vegetables, if they're frozen, the equipment is so incredible now that they will freeze at the the field. That only means it's been cooked 10%, and they did a test on the nutrients, and there were more nutrients in frozen vegetables than those that traveled 25,000 miles.
Or the ones that we buy and then we leave them sitting in a refrigerator for a week.
Exactly.
Vitamin C loss, if you have something sitting in your fridge for over a week, the vitamin C is pretty much gone. So if you're not going to use it the day or two after you buy it, you're probably better off buying frozen. I think that's why tofu works really well, because it can sit in your fridge for a long time and not go bad. How many of us really feel awful when we buy food with good intentions and we just throw it away? So tofu really is a convenience food.
And that and yogurt. I never throw yogurt away. Everybody else.
Well, you don't really have to.
It's past the expiration date. It's yogurt.
You can eat it past the expiration date, those bacteria that are in there. And yogurt is another superfood because the bacteria in there really help with our intestinal health. And now we're thinking that it might help with respiratory infections. Can be another food that not only is super, but it can last in your fridge for a long time, which for me is a super thing.
Well, let me show you the trick to this. At the very end, we're going to put another layer, and then we're going to put some of the firm tofu, which we have right there. I'll tell you what, if you'll put a couple pieces and slice them to about the same width that they would fit right here. The trick is that the firm tofu, if you want to put them on the board first, you can out there.
Yeah.
The trick is that now the great thing is that this is going to actually be the base, because this is the top, but when you flip it over, it's the bottom, and it gives it a nice firm bottom. So.
I don't know, Jim, with all you've learned about nutrition, you're going to be an honorary dietitian one of these days.
Now, I put the firm tofu down, so you remember, first layer, a little bit of water, then the egg roll wrappers, then you can do whatever favorite vegetable, artichoke heart, spinach, sun-dried tomatoes, alternate layers with a little bit of the silken tofu with the low-fat mozzarella, firm tofu at the end. And this, believe it or not, to make life simple, if you want to make your own homemade tomato sauce, go knock yourself out. Believe it or not, what we're using is an organic tomato soup. And you could either use that or a vegetable broth. Thin out a little bit of the vegetable broth. Like I said, if you want to make your own, if it's a great time of the year with fresh homemade tomatoes, knock yourself out. But we're showing you how quick, easy, and simple this is to do at home.
And tomato sauce is really good, especially for men, helps to lower the risk of prostate cancer. So who would have known, Jim?
I wouldn't have known, but I love tomatoes.
Well, see, I'm happy for you,
there
and
you
your
go.
wife is probably happy.
So I'm going to finish this with a little bit of cheese right on top. And we are ready to go in the oven, 350 degrees for about 35 minutes. While I'm doing that, if you'll take a little bit of that tomato soup, warm it up. We're going to put that on the base for our plate. So let me go ahead and flip this out. Give it a little bit of forceful flip. There you go.
Yum.
Is that not, this recipe, I love this recipe.
This is beautiful.
This is one of those serious, I love recipes. So, how are we doing with our soup there? That looks good.
Oh, it's boiling.
I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and just like spoon a ladle, one right on the bottom of our plate there. Meanwhile, I'm going to slice this. Look at that. How feel it look? Isn't that gorgeous?
That is gorgeous.
All right. On top of your beautiful job of spreading that tomato sauce all over the place. Flip that over.
Lovely.
And just because I am a little funky about garnishing, I'm just going to wipe this edge. There we go. And I have some beautiful basil to put right on top of it. But I mean, once again, your kids can get creative. They can put whatever stuffing they want onto that. It is so easy and fun to make. We didn't even have to cook the pasta. Non-stick pan. I'm telling you, when you taste it, you're going to, I guarantee you give that to somebody, even a chef, they'll go, what's in it? And they will never get it 100% correct.
Well, and you've also made the dietitian happy because you've used all these superfoods. You've got a great source of protein. This is low fat. And for anybody who's lactose intolerant, they're home free.
Well, as long as I made the nutritionist happy, that's all that matters.
I'm happy.
Okay, well, when I eat this, I'll be happy. And we come back, this is an Italian-themed meal, and we come back, we're going to do a tiramisu.
Oh, yum.
Stay tuned for Deborah Heart and Lung Center's Healthy Flavors.
That lasagna was, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm going to try it because I don't have to boil noodles anymore.
There you go.
I've
You got it
spread
easy
all
at
over my
home.
colander, all over the counter. That's great.
I still have a little room for dessert, Althea, and we're gonna make some of my favorite dessert in the world, tiramisu. So,
Yum.
so you can guess what we're theming the whole day show around?
That's Italian.
That's Italian, all right. Well, we're going to start off, I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in our food processor. You could use a sugar blend or a sugar substitute if you wanted to. And I'm going to add some egg substitutes. Cream this up a little bit, and then we're going to add both our tofus, which is the silken tofu, and our extra firm. Once again, it's very simple. This is not even going to be baked. What we're going to do is we have some pound cake. It is a non-fat, sugar-free pound cake, and I'm just going to dump some. This is instant espresso that we added warm water to, and of course that's the key with tiramisu, is dipping that in. I'll let you go ahead and finish those. Just push them down. You can mush them together and have to fit perfectly as long as they cover the bottom of that.
All righty.
And what I'm going to do is wipe out our bowl here and put some more of our mixture in here. Now we do need, one thing about this is just like in real tiramisu, we need to let this is our custard, we need to let it sit overnight because it really firms up, and it firms up very nice. Not overnight, but at least 4 hours, I would say. And then take our tofu mixture right here, which is our custard, and I'm just gonna spread this up. This is, my Lord, if this isn't easy, if you can't do this, then, you know, I have a problem even putting the TV dinner in the oven correctly if you can't make this. So this is very simple and easy to make. So what I'm gonna do is just gonna pound that down. I'm gonna completely cover that pound cake, and I'm gonna take some of our chocolate. This is just bittersweet dark chocolate. We just crumbled it up. You put it in a food processor, just kind of pulse it, or you could even use the chips if you wanted to, and you're just going to sprinkle it around.
And tell your daughter about an ounce of chocolate a day will do the trip in terms of...
She's not going to want to hear that.
Well...
She's not going to want to hear that.
For everybody but your daughter, an ounce
yes,
a day.
Yes,
Is
she's this
heart
big around,
healthy.
she better stay that way, and she better marry wealthy. That's the two things I have in mind for her. So, after we do this, I'm going to take a little bit of non-dairy topping, and these are wonderful now because they are disposable. You can get them at any grocery store, disposable, and what we call pastry bags. This has got a star tip on it. I'm just going to go ahead and make a very simple little topping here, and then into the refrigerator it goes. Maybe I'll sprinkle a little bit more of our chocolate right on top there. Make sure I get my full ounce that I've deserved. After you put this in the refrigerator, this really firms up, and I obviously have a pan ready to go.
Ooh.
Would I tease you?
You better
but
not.
look at the difference here, just so you see what happens when it does go
Firm
into
up.
the. See how much more custardy it looks at this
Yeah,
point.
the
So
texture's
you really
nice.
do need it to let it go in the refrigerator. Like I said, at 4 hours, it's going to be all right, but the longer it'll firm up a little bit more after that. Once again, we showed people at home that tofu is a very versatile product, and the idea of it being just for ex-hippies or for hippies nowadays is absolutely ridiculous because it is a great way of getting that protein we were talking about.
You can eat less meat and have other foods that are really versatile that are also going to give you some health benefits. So everybody's winning here.
And the great thing is like after you eat something that's a heavy meat meal, I've always felt bogged down. And I'm getting the same protein, like you said, the 9 amino acids, and at the same time, I'm full, I'm satisfied, yet I've got still some energy and I don't feel like taking a 2-hour nap. So, Althea, thank you so much for being on today's show.
Thank you.
And hopefully we showed you how easy it is to incorporate tofu into your diet. And until next time, enjoy healthy flavors.
Healthy Flavors is made possible by Vitasoy, makers of Vitasoy, Nasoya, and Azumaya, organic and all-natural foods for good taste and good health. Vitasoy, it's food for life. Decor, makers of the Epicure, pure convection self-cleaning electric built-in wall oven. Epicure, the next generation of commercial-style appliances. Decor, the life of the kitchen. And Filippo Berrio olive oil, a recipe for good health since 1867. Filippo Berrio, taste the tradition.